Hi everyone. Just finished the new moon in Pisces event at the temple. And the last guest has arrived, so I thought I'd just come in. Oh, got fairy lights flashing. My drum. Can you see that? Hello, beautiful souls. Sending blessings from the temple night. I've got my tuning forks out. Crystal singing bowl. Where to begin? So Pisces new moon. Tonight was a very oceanic, liquid, light transmission of drifting, floating, of surrendering to the waves and the currents of life. Being supported and held with no gravity. And tonight we spoke about the future visions, the future timelines, and the future stories that we wish to be celebrated for. Way, way, way out in our future timelines. And each one of the ladies spoke tonight and cast that vision, that future story into the circle. And tonight, the foundation, the floor, the ground, the four walls of the temple, and the ceiling roof line of the temple was all witness to that. And so each story has been woven tonight into the future timelines. And it's like it was accounted for, and the inventory of what was shared tonight is now recorded and scribed into the walls of the temple. So why do I go to this energetic depth? There is method. There's a lot of method to what I do and what I teach. And I say now that there's method in my sorcery. There's a strong framework and deep, strong, solid foundation. And this is what we get to stand on. This is what we get to celebrate. And this is what we get to use to kind of bunny hop or to accelerate ourselves into these future storylines. And there's tangible examples and tangible results of this for the women and the men that hang out in this field, to hang out in this vortex of conscious creation, of conscious storytelling. And we have a beautiful indigenous woman who gathers with us in the circle at the temple, and she speaks of her ancestors and holding the gateway open for the Dreamtime stories and honoring and thanking the role of Dreamtime stories. We are all dreamers, dreaming and weaving our stories into reality. So let me give you a real example of this. I have thousands and thousands. But last year, in October, we were at the week-long retreat in Vanuatu. Hi, Kristen. Hello. And last year at the retreat, we were taking the women and the participants through this incredible process of really connecting into those future timelines of like the highest potential, the highest, most celebrated story that you could tell or script for yourself. And this woman saw an aspect of her work that is well and truly a part of her service. It's a part of her family, her connection back to her motherland, which is South Africa. She resides in Australia, and this was a future timeline, a moment that she would be most proud of. What would you want to be celebrated for? And she had an epiphany, and it dropped in when we were at Vanuatu last year. And I got news this week, on the day of International Women's Day. She gave me a message in WhatsApp. It was just a screenshot and not many words. And as soon as I saw the screenshot, I squealed with excitement. She is in the top of her industry recognition. And she always wanted to speak and be known for economic empowerment for women in Australia and South Africa. And all of this dropped in on International Women's Day. And this was something she saw and planted that story at the Vanuatu retreat. And so this kind of magic, some people call it sorcery or alchemy, but this is our ability as co-authors over our life. It's like we get to script these storylines. We get to script. And so tonight in Circle at the Temple, we were all casting our stories into this beautiful oceanic field because of the Piscean energy of doing less. If you can just float and surrender and just really kind of surrender into the oceans, this real ocean yin water element tonight. This is what the Pisces new moon is inviting us to do. And of all the stories that we wrote down, so we actually wrote pen to paper, of all the current celebrations we have for ourselves, what we're most proud of currently. What do you want to be known for currently? What's that thing or that skill set that you know you do so well and it's like your essence? We wrote those down on paper of the current reality. Then I took the women through a different exercise, and then the second part to this writing exercise was to write the future celebration of something way out in the future that you're going to be known for. And that gives the greatest potentiality of growth, of possibility, of alchemy, of transformation. And I asked the women to imagine that story on a higher octave. If you could hear the music of the story, I want you to send it up a higher octave. That's what I sang for the women in the higher register of my voice. And there's some other incredible magic that happened after that, which I have no words for. Have no words for that. But then it was even interesting, each woman that shared, they each had the story that the next woman shared could only be in perfect alignment until the previous woman had shared her story. And so the stories that got cast into the circle were even layering and interfacing one another and galvanizing and kind of solidifying this energetic tapestry of all of this co-authorship of stories of the highest timelines for humanity. Now, the physical paper that the women wrote on, I asked them to turn it into a scroll. And imagine if you were to then place that scroll in a bottle and you were to cast it out on the oceanic waves of the Piscean new moon, and it would float, and you would have to let it go. You'd have to let the stories go. Even the most celebrated ones, you'd have to cast it into the great mother of the oceans. And then I asked the women to do this. Imagine the bottle had traveled all the seas. And it became closer and closer to the shoreline. Oh, there's honey. And eventually it drifted into the beach and the shoreline, and it got swept up by the waves and actually left on the sandy shore. And then imagine your future self walking along the beach, discovering the bottle, picking it up and reading the contents. And it is your future timeline that is now reading the contents of what is on that paper. This is the power of the dreamscape and the stories that we're able to weave into this beautiful golden light through our realities. And if you can merge your own field with the field of your story that you choose to create. So it's not separate from you, it's not out in the distance. All of your dreams and desires, what's on your vision board. It doesn't matter if it's materialistic or spiritual in nature or of character, qualities of character. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's on the script. But can you merge your field and kind of allow yourself to drop into the ocean waters so deep that what you're actually floating in is the script of your own story? Oh, I get so excited about this stuff. This is priestess magic. This is alchemical work. This is changing the fibers and the tapestry and the energetic architecture of your reality to begin shifting things. You have to do it at a personal level. And it was remarkable, it was extraordinary watching each woman cast her story into the circle. And it was like, we were like creating the universe in front of us, because each woman had her important, extraordinary, necessary co-authorship to cast into the circle. And it's like I couldn't tell my story without the previous woman that told her story. And to see it in real time, in physical form, was remarkable. And there was a word that a sister said. She said the word legacy. And that was like an activation for the sister that needed to speak next. So we hold codes, we hold words that are meant for people, right place, right time. But tonight, the Piscean new moon is very much this landscape of just deep, deep surrender through your body. Like if you're going off to bed tonight to rest, just imagine the whole kind of bed becoming this incredible ocean and being submerged. It's like your room becomes an aquarium and you're just like holding yourself in that beautiful field of the great mother, the great oceans on this planet. There are other celebrations coming in from other clients. It's a tough one for me. I'm not sure what pieces to share because it's private and sacred too. But I do have permission to share. It's just I must do so with the right alignment and integrity and sacredness. The women are free to share inside the private Facebook group here. If any of them wish to share, they can do so. They know that. But sometimes a lot of the wins are just at a personal level. A lot of the work I do is energetic. I spoke about receivership a lot, that sequence of really flipping the sequence. You know, the more that I can receive, the more I become. The more I become, the more I can give. The more I receive, the more I can become. The more I become, the more I can give. And so if you're to hold yourself in those ocean waters, the more I receive, the more I receive. You want to be receiving as much healing, light, nourishment there. Tonight, it's a perfect night to write future stories, future visions, future timelines, and do so from a really quiet, silent space. Tonight was very soft. Previous month was the entering of the dragon. It was such a different energy. All the monthly events are very, very different. But I can't say this enough. The leading ladies of light are well and truly back. 2 new people tonight in circle. They'd definitely be over their 50s. But both of them I'm sat in circle before. From the time of Atlantis, I remembered instantly, and it's like I choke up then. when I tend to lose my voice, I get a little bit emotional because it just hits you. It begins to hit you on a really visceral level, and there's no denying that stuff, and it's not, it's not made up. It's like when you have that level of remembrance, it runs really deep through your body and through your cellular structure. So that was an honor. It was honor to sit with those 2 women tonight. They've well and truly paved the way for women that are in the next wave coming, just like we're all paving the way for the women and the men that are in the next wave. So every step we take personally always has such a ripple effect to our communities and our family and all the other brothers and sisters that are coming behind us. And I spoke tonight about the start of the Aquarian age. You know, people are looking for this distinct kind of marker. Oh, we've crossed over the marker. It doesn't work like that. And so how I explained it tonight, the arrival of the Aquarian age is like a big wave pulling itself out. You know how the water rushes out? That's what's happening collectively, globally on our planet. And then it kind of draws itself and it increases in volume and it begins to lift, it begins to rise, and then it has this crescendo moving forward. And the breaking of the wave. The breaking of the wave, you'd well and truly know you were in the Aquarian age then. But kind of like globally, I'd say we're still in like that receding, like the pulling out of the water. Yeah. It's that pulling out of the water where you see the debris that is left. And so they're the denser things that are on our planet. Is that stays, that's not joining the wave. And this is what they call the transformational wave that is sweeping the planet. So it's like we're building, pulling out, gathering water. And so what creates this is all the incredible work that we do on ourselves. It's such a personal thing. It doesn't have to look like anyone else. You don't need to wear this priestessy robe with these earrings. Sometimes I come into the temple and I've got jeans and a t-shirt on. And I just mix it up to keep people on their toes. Because it doesn't need to look any way. That's just like conditioning we've got over our minds about being spiritual. It means you've got to be into crystals. No, it doesn't. And so maybe just take some of the conditioning off your awakening process. It doesn't have to look like another. You don't need to be a tarot reader. You don't need to be into oracle decks. You don't need to do yoga if you don't want to. I personally do enjoy some of those things though. That's why I love getting into the business arena, because I completely flip it on people. There is so much work that can be done through other industries. And I spoke about that today on I think the post. It's like, I work with accountants. I work with people in the real estate sector. People that are airline hostesses. People that own and run gyms. People that work in childcare. People that clean homes for the elderly. You don't have to be a healer to think you've got influence on this. Doesn't have to look like anything. It's such a personal journey. Okay, I'm going to go off into a whole new tangent now. And I'm just like, I really don't want to do that. I'll save that for tomorrow. But yeah, we're well and truly back. The more I receive, the more I become. The more I become, the more I can give. Receive on that personal level, and then I give on a planetary level. First step is do it for yourself. As soon as I take one more step on my own courage, on my own inspiration, as soon as I become more for Myra, the ripples are felt within my community, within my vortex. So I do it for me. We do it for us. And then we're able to have those ripples and those waves be felt all across the planet. I do it for me, then I do it for you, and then we do it for us. That's how it works. Love you lots. Thank you for watching late on a new moon Pisces. I am just going to float off to sleep now. Love you all so much. Have a beautiful week ahead. And please remember, follow your golden path.